disclaimer for the viewers. In this session, we are going to discuss the transdermal permeation. More specifically, we are going to discuss the difference between topical administration and the transdermal administration and anatomy of the skin. So let us see the transdermal permeation. The term topical, it is utilized for application of dosage form to the controlled area of skin to get the localized effect. Generally, the topical administration gives the localized effect. It is widely used for the dermatological disorders such as eczema, psoriasis, or for the certain infections which are related with the bacteria or the fungi. Whatever the drug which is given by the topical administration, it is not intended for the systemic effect. Generally, the drugs like corticosteroids, antifungals, antivirals, antibiotics, antiseptics, local anesthetics, and antineoplastic drugs are given by the topical drug delivery systems. The dosage forms which are prepared for the topical drug delivery, like the solutions, emulsions, powders, creams, pastes, gels, ointments, and the lotions. And all these topical preparations are used as a protective, adsorbents, emollients, or the cleansing agents. So the topical drug delivery, it is a term utilized for application of dosage form to the controlled area of skin to get the localized effect. Generally, it is used for the dermatological disorders like eczema and psoriasis, and for certain infections like the bacterial infections or the fungal infections. The treatment, it is not intended for the systemic effect, it is more precisely for the local effect. The drugs like corticosteroids, antifungals, antivirals, antibiotics, antiseptics, local anesthetics, and antineoplastics are given by the topical drug delivery systems. The dosage forms which are prepared for the topical route, like the solutions, emulsions, powders, creams, pastes, gels, ointments, and the lotions, and all these topical preparations are widely used as a protective, adsorbents, emollients, cleansing agents. While in the case of a transdermal drug delivery system, it involves the drug diffusion through distinct layers of the skin into the systemic or the blood circulation to provoke the therapeutic effect. Look at the figure. So here, say this is the topical formulation which is applied, and it is going to enter into the up to, say for example, epidermal layer, and it is going to elect the local effect. While in the case of transdermal formulation, say for example transdermal patch, whatever the drug which is incorporated into the drug delivery system, it is going to be diffused through the all layers of the skin, and it reaches into the systemic circulation, and furthermore it is going to elect the pharmacological action. Transdermal patch of clonidine, it is widely used for the hypertension, and the transdermal patch of the nitroglycerin, it is used for the angina. These are the certain formulations which are available in the market. There is a transdermal patch of the clonidine and transdermal patch of the nitroglycerin. There are three types of the systems are available in the transdermal drug delivery system. Very first one, that is a reservoir system. Second one, matrix with a rate controlling membrane, that is a matrix which is enclosed in a polymeric membrane, and matrix without a rate controlling membrane. The drugs which are given by the transdermal drug delivery system like scopolamine, nitroglycerin, clonidine, diclofenac, indomethacin, nicotine, estradiol, testosterone, fentanyl, etc. This is about the transdermal drug delivery and the topical drug delivery. The main difference in the topical and transdermal, that is topical, it is for the localized effect, while the transdermal drug delivery system, it is for the systemic effect. That is the main difference. The formulations which are prepared for the topical drug delivery systems like solutions, emulsions, powders, creams, pastes, gels, ointments, and lotion. While in the case of transdermal drug delivery system, generally we are preparing the transdermal patches. The drugs which are given by the transdermal drug delivery systems like scopolamine, nitroglycerin, clonidine, diclofenac, indomethacin, nicotine, estradiol, testosterone. Whereas in the case of topical drug delivery system, generally we are giving the corticosteroids, antifungals, antivirals, and certain antibiotics, antiseptics, local anesthetics, and certain antineoplastics. So this is about the concept of topical and transdermal drug delivery system. Before discussing the permeation through the skin or how the drug it is going to be absorbed from the skin, there is a need to understand the skin anatomy and the physiology of the skin. So the skin is one of the most accessible organ of the human body. It has an average surface area of 2 meters square and few millimeters in the thickness. The main important thing is that it receives approximately 1/3 of circulating blood. Physiologically, it serves as barrier against physical and chemical attacks and protects the vital organs from the microbial invasion. It functions as a first line of defense of human body. So the functions of skin, that is the protection, water level maintenance, and the body temperature regulation. Apart from these functions, there are so many other functions are also there which are related with the sensory, related with the mechanical injury protection, synthesis of vitamin D3, then radiation injury prevention, then physical barrier, then thermoregulation, fluid loss prevention, and antimicrobial properties. Let us see the anatomy of the skin. Anatomically, skin consists of the 3 layers. Very first one, that is the epidermis, second one, that is the dermis, and third one, that is the hypodermis. Epidermis, it is having a thickness approximately 0.07 to 0.15 mm. It represents the percutaneous segment constituting different strata like stratum corneum, stratum lucidum, stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum, and stratum germinativum. The dermis, it is approximately 1 to 4 mm thickness. It comprises the blood vessels, then the nerve hairs, then hair follicles, then the sebaceous glands, sweat glands, then the mast cells, and the macrophages. Hypodermis, or it is also known as the subcutaneous tissue, acts as a fastener for the skin to the underlying surface and the fat storage. So here it's a stratum corneum. This is the epidermis. Here it's a total dermis. These are the sebaceous gland. Then this is the hair follicle. This is the fat tissue. Then the blood vessels. Then these are the nerves and the sweat glands. Let us move towards. So here we are going to see the certain details about the epidermis. because epidermal layer restricts the entry of a drug into the systemic circulation via skin. Epidermis, it is the outermost layer of the skin. So this is the epidermis. So it is the outermost layer of a skin, varies in a thickness with approximately 0.8 mm. More specifically, stratum corneum, it is a 15 to 20 micrometer, while viable epidermis, it is approximately 130 to 180 micrometer. It comprises the Langerhans cells. It consists of multi-layered regions of epithelial cells, and the viable epidermis is often referred to as a epidermal layer below the stratum corneum. So this is the stratum corneum and this is the viable epidermis. The cellular content of the epidermis consists of predominantly the keratocytes, approximately 95% of cells, with the other cells of the epidermal layer includes the Langerhans cells, melanocytes, and the Merkel cell. We'll see the position of all these cells in the next slide. So here, see again the epidermis. So the superficial layer, all these are the dead cells filled with the keratin. This is the stratum corneum, stratum lucidum, stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum, stratum basale. These are the melanocytes, and here it's a dermis. Furthermore, these are the lamellar granules. These are the keratinocytes, and these are the Merkel cells. Along with this, the sensory neuron. So the stratum corneum, it is the most superficial layer of the epidermis. It is in direct contact with the external environment, and its barrier properties may be partially related to its high density, that is 1.4 gram per centimeter cube in the dry state, and its low hydration, it is about 15 to 20%. The cells of stratum corneum are composed of mainly insoluble keratins, approximately 70%, and the 20% of lipids. So water in the stratum corneum is associated with the keratin in the corneocytes. Let us move further. So this is a transsectional view of the human skin. Here it's the epidermis, here it's the dermis, and the subcutaneous, that is the hypodermal layer. The dermis, it is approximately 1 to 4 mm thick, and it consists of 70% of collagen and the elastin fibers, which gives the strength and the elasticity to the skin. Blood vessels found in the dermis provide nutrients for both the dermis and the epidermis. Then the nerves, then macrophages, lymphatic vessels are also present in the dermal layer. It also contains the skin appendages. So for example, sweat gland, that is again divided into the apocrine and eccrine gland, then the sebaceous glands, and the hair follicle. The main role of the dermis is to nurture the epidermis. So this is about the dermis. Hypodermis, it is the deepest layer of the skin and consists of a network of fat cells. So all these are the fat cells. It is in a contact between the skin and the underlying tissues of the body, such as muscles and the bones. The major function of the hypodermis are protection against physical shock, heat insulation, and support and conductance of the vascular and neural signals of the skin. Hypodermis resident fat cells accounts for approximately 50% of body fat, with the other predominant cells of the hypodermis consisting of fibroblasts and the macrophages. So this is about the hypodermis. Let us see the skin appendages. Look at the figure. So here it's a sweat pores, intraepidermal sweat duct, reabsorptive sweat duct, then secretory coil, that is the eccrine gland. Then here it is a glomerulus of the secretory tubule, apocrine gland, excretory duct which is going to be opened into the hair follicle. Here it's the epidermis, dermis. Then this is the sebaceous gland. These are the subcutaneous fats, and here it's a hair shaft. Sweat glands. So here look at the figure. Sweat glands, these are divided into the apocrine gland and the eccrine gland. They aid in a heat control and secrete the sweat. Eccrine glands, approximately 2 to 5 millions, it produces the sweat, secrete drugs, proteins, antibodies, and antigens. While apocrine sweat glands develop at a philosebaceous follicle in a armpit. It's a milky or a oily secretion, may be colored, and contains proteins, lipids, lipoproteins, and saccharides. Bacteria metabolize this odorless secretion to give the characteristic human smell. Hair follicle, which develop all over the skin except the red part of the lips, palms, and soles. One or more sebaceous gland and sometimes the sweat glands open into the hair follicle. The sebaceous glands, most numerous on the face, forehead, and in the ear. This produce sebum. That is the principal components are glycerides, free fatty acids, cholesterol, cholesterol ester, wax esters, and the squalene. So this is about the skin appendages, that is sweat gland, hair follicles, and the sebaceous gland. Sweat glands like eccrine sweat gland and apocrine sweat gland, right? Then hair follicles and the sebaceous glands. So this is about the anatomy of skin. So we have discussed the anatomy of the skin. We have discussed the epidermis, dermis, and the hypodermis. We have seen the detailed anatomy and physiological aspects of the human skin.